I saw A24's latest film, Warfare, written and directed by Machina and Civil War director Alex Garland, and Mendoza, a former Navy SEAL recounting his experiences in the Iraq War. Warfare follows a platoon of Navy SEALs in real time on a high-stakes escape mission in the midst of enemy territory. Despite war films not really being my thing, I was drawn towards seeing and reviewing this one to witness the sort of passing of the torch between the retiring Alex Garland and the up-and-coming Mendoza. This has also been a fairly slow spring season, and I was like 80% sure nobody was going to throw popcorn in my face during this screening. However, I also want to say right off the bat that Warfare is a very personal story. It is recounting the memories of real people based on real-life experiences. So before I go on discussing the movie, the parts I liked, the parts I didn't, I want to acknowledge that human element. I'm not able to discuss the movie through the lens of historical realism either, because I'm just not well informed on the Iraqi war. I tend to rely on Nitish to keep me informed on global affairs, but he's in law school right now, dweeb, so I'm on my own, giving my raw impressions. Yeah, that is my raw impression. Warfare is one of the most harrowing theater experiences I have ever had. Like, as I was watching this movie, sitting in the theater room, I somehow felt trapped. My heart was beating, my head was pounding, I wanted to run out into the parking lot screaming. Alex Garland and Mendoza's stellar, lifelike directing sucked me into the experience, and I was legitimately unsure if I would make it out okay, as I clenched onto a regular-sized bin of popcorn and a packet of Reese's Pieces. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Warfare masterfully archives that feeling of anxiety and horror. Only when I left the theater and had the time to regain my composure did I start to ask what this movie did beyond archive. As I detached myself from the immediacy and adrenaline Warfare commands, I couldn't help but draw connections to Sam Mendes's 1917. Another heart-pumping war film. Warfare leans into its real-time format. We follow the action as it would have actively occurred in real life. 1917 goes one step further, depicting the perilous journey of two British soldiers as though it was all done on one take. While 1917 was stylistically impressive, perhaps at the cost of being somewhat fantastical, Warfare feels very grounded, perhaps at the cost of feeling a little bit stock. Garland and Mendoza do truly impressive things with the filmmaking, don't get me wrong. They use every tool available to heighten the tension. They especially wield light, smoke, and sound design with masterful skill, perfectly replicating the feeling of being in hostile territory where every little detail, every off sound, could make the difference between life and death. When it comes to that element alone, no notes, I couldn't have imagined them doing anything better. However, while in my opinion Warfare stops there, at establishing the human costs of war, other war films have been capable of doing the same thing and achieving more, saying something about why we as a society are allowing such a thing to happen, and what that could mean going forward. Maybe it's because we, or the filmmakers, don't know the answers to these questions yet. To compare this one yet again to 1917, there is a natural degree of detachment from these events because it took place so long ago. There is enough hindsight and removal to be able to interpret them from the comfort of our living room sofas. The events of Warfare, on the other hand, are fresh on many people's minds. Mendoza may be, very understandably, not all that decisive about, or even interested in, assigning meaning to that suffering, and that would be an unreasonable request for me to make, I think. For that reason, I think Warfare can be praised for what it is, although I have hopes that there will be other media that come to fill in that empty space. Funnily enough, this has been the same year Haley Gates made Atropia, and while I don't think that movie really worked, I respected it for what it tried to do. And to Garland and Mendoza's credit, I do detect a glimpse of something more in this movie. In the very beginning, we watch the Navy SEALs forcibly commandeer a home for the sake of their own survival. While not very often, we do occasionally cut to the scared family being contained in a room, and it is that perspective, the fact that the movie hasn't entirely forgotten about them, that hints at some greater commentary beyond the combat. One of the images that stood out to me from the film was one of the soldiers' bloody handprints on the wall. It was near a picture frame. I don't remember what the picture frame contained as it was not particularly emphasized. Was it a family picture? A piece of religious script? In either case, it was a grim reminder of the non-American civilian cost to this warfare. I feel like if there were any points the movie was interested in exploring here, they weren't really followed up on, and I think that is a valid criticism. But I felt I should acknowledge where I thought there was an attempt, especially when it came to that ending scene. I would recommend Warfare for those who like war films, thrillers, or those interested in this period in history. Like I said in my Atropia review, the Iraqi War is fairly underrepresented in media, and while I can't claim Warfare is completely novel, we have had other films follow the soldier POV in this kind of war before. I think it can be argued how none have done so quite this viscerally, at least in a while. But ultimately, what you see is what you get from the trailers. Warfare is visceral, gritty, and true horror like nothing else I've ever seen in a while. And it is the kind of movie that hits while you're actively watching it. For what our director sought out to do here, that is probably enough. If you like this video, please give it a little like and a comment and a ring-ding-ding of the little bell icon down at the bottom, please. Thank you very much.